Oh, looky here. It's my favorite day of the week. A Thursday. You know what that means? Huh? What's that? That's right. Trap Thursday. And here we are back again in my dungeon. And I got two people to interview. And who we got here today with me? It looks like we got Commando Solo. You've been here every day. And don't think I haven't noticed. All right. I see you. I see all, buddy. Okay. Good to see you again. Who we got? GM Ben Show. Oh, yeah. Okay, so what have I been doing the past week? Same thing I always do, baby. Try to take over the world, put some traps here, sprinkle a little there, Maybe you've noticed a couple congressmen leaving, huh? That could have been me. Who knows? I'll never tell. So, boy, 1 second. I get a real thirst just even thinking about traps, much less talking about them. All right, so today I got two special guests. All my guests are special, but these are special guests. And the first one, he's been with Goodman Games for quite a while. Been doing some 3E stuff, some 4E stuff. A lot of the original adventures reincarnated, which this book we're talking about is attached. Okay, Grimtooth, old school traps, and it's time to bring them on. Let's bring on Rick Mappy. Come on.
Hello.
What's up, buddy? How you doing?
Good. I'm a big fan, Grimtooth, of your work or your handiwork,
you.
perhaps.
Flattery gets you everywhere. So, you can tell me all that later. The folks don't want to just hear you giving me praise. We're here to talk about your traps.
Ooh,
What you
understood.
did for this book now. Yeah, I think you're doing the DCC stuff. Is that correct?
I'm actually doing the 5th edition stuff.
Fifth edition. Oh,
Yeah.
silly me.
Going to the dark side.
Yeah. Well, fifth edition. Okay, great. So let's talk about that. What we got going on here? What are some of your favorite traps? Give me the deets. Give me the deets.
All right, let's see. Why don't we start with a nice quarter trap? Those are always good. There's a particularly devious trap called Hit Him Where He Ain't.
Him where he ain't.
Hitting him where he ain't, or
hit
where
him where
he
he
ain't.
ain't. Gotcha.
This is a delicious little trap where there is a pressure plate type situation in the quarter. Of course, you always got to have those pressure plates. And
Yeah.
as the poor adventurers are walking down the corridor, a number of spears fire down from the ceiling just in front of the characters, potentially impaling them. Now, of course, the average character is going to think perhaps to jump backward, but what they may not know is that as they touch the pressure plate, it caused a false portion of floor to slide back behind them, which has caused another sliding panel to pop up behind them, effectively putting up a wall of spikes behind them. So if they leap backward, they've just impaled themselves.
Oh, it's a lose-lose situation there.
Correct.
And it sounds like they might get the point eventually.
One way or the other. They'll either jump into it or they'll get it from up top. So right. Yeah. For DMs who like to, get a little variety in their spike application.
Now, spikes and spears, people would say, hey, that's a little passe. So, like, what could we do to up the ante on this one?
Well, of course, beyond the usual poison, there's always good old impaling, things that you can cause the players, their characters to be impaled and lose some movement, things like that. Separate the party, of course, via the wall. There's different effects I think a clever DM can make use of here to really up the ante, make things a little more dangerous, which is always good, right?
Gotcha. Yeah. Because a lot of these fifth edition guys, they got too much HP.
It's true. It's true. You can't have that.
No, one spike ain't gonna do it. I mean, there's a lot of spikes in this one. So is it gonna be like they take X amount of dice per spike that hits?
Oh, it's yeah, there could be a multiple spike situation or a multiple spear situation here. So yeah,
Excellent. Excellent.
much potential to whittle away those pesky HPs.
You know I hate them. All right, that sounds great. So that's just one. What
That's
else we
just
got here?
one. Well, let's go into a different one that is a little smaller trap, but something for those
It's not the
annoying neo.
size of the trap that matters.
This is true. Size is overrated. This is a trap that's really good for those sort of neophyte adventurers, just to, break them in, let them experience their first trap, feel a little bit of pain in the dungeon, know what they're in for. This particular trap is called the first step trap. This also involves a floor pressure plate, but I kind of like those. And
Am
in
I
this
sensing a
case,
theme here?
there is a theme. I've definitely gone with
Yeah.
all most of my traps I'm going to discuss tonight have to do with pressure plates because
Okay, so
you
you
just
know
can't
what?
have enough of them.
Get out there, get you a 10-foot pole.
There
We're
we
dealing
go.
with this
See,
guy.
back in the first edition days, people used to carry them, but they've kind of those fifth edition players. They got to learn.
They
They've got to
do, one way or
they've
another.
got to go learn to go to that general store and get hooked up before they venture into the dungeon, or this is what happens. So with this particular trap, again, the first step trap, as the character or the poor character is walking down the corridor, they can step on a pressure plate that causes a false portion of floor to slide away behind their foot. And as this happens, a trio of spring-loaded spikes snaps up behind them, hitting that sweet spot right behind the heel, perhaps the Achilles tendon, and slashing them from behind and potentially even impaling them and holding them in place. Which is always fun because then they're just, sitting there as a delicacy for the next wandering monster that comes past. And we did work up a deadlier version of this for those extra cruel DMs, in which the blades of these spikes were actually created using the remnant shards of a sword of sharpness. So
Ooh,
in that particular case, there's a chance the offending limb might just be lopped off. So
nice.
yeah, for those DMs who just like to turn the screws a little bit more in your grand tradition.
You know what I'd like to, what I would do is I would put instead of what was it, sword of infinite sharpness.
Sort of sharpness, yes.
Yeah, yeah. I would do the sword of infinite rustness. And so it's just a
Mm,
nasty rusty gash,
there
and
you
then
go.
next thing you know, the wizard's got lockjaw and he's gonna have to find another orifice to start slinging his spells through. You know what I'm saying?
I like that. I like
Yeah.
that. See,
Hey,
by the time we're done
put
with
it
them,
in.
they'll be getting their 10-foot poles and their tetanus shots. You
That's
can't
right.
get wrong there.
That's right.
You have to make them prep. Prepping is overrated before the dungeon, so or so people think. So let's see. I think we can squeak in one more. Let's
We got a question up here in the
let's
comments,
go with
Rick.
that.
Let's see. How do you pronounce drow?
Oh
What does that
no.
got to do? Who's that? Is that somebody you know?
I have a feeling that might be somebody who's seen me on air before.
Oh,
I've always said dro, as in row, row, row your boat. I know it's fashionably said drow,
I
but for the
said drow.
record,
Yeah, yeah.
in a very ancient Gen Con, a friend and I, this is a true story, we pinned down Gary Gygax at a bar. The poor man was sitting by himself trying to, have an after con beer, and we locked him into a corner, got our players' handbooks autographed. And my friend said, Gary, you've got to answer this question and settle an argument. How do you pronounce it, dro or drow? And Gary said he always pronounced it drow, but he told me I could pronounce it any way I liked.
All
He
right.
said
Well,
it
you
was
got
fine
the
with it.
blessing,
So I have the
so
blessing of
can't make
the
fun of him. Not to his face.
the
Anyway.
grand creator himself gave me permission to pronounce it as I please. So I'm clinging to that. So
All right. All right. No more silly questions out there, okay?
they're
We're
keeping me
talking
on my
about traps
toes
here, and
here.
this is serious business.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. What the heck? Don't let those drows sneak in between our traps
Gee
here.
whiz, I tell you.
Where were we? Where were we?
Third trap.
Third trap.
They
Okay.
probably got spikes and a foot pedal.
This one, well, you're gonna like this one. This one's got
Oh,
some
okay.
real
I
movement
like
to
them
it.
all.
This particular trap is called There and Back Again. The characters are confronted with a good expanse of corridor where there's a section of quarter in front of them that looks quite innocent. And then a little further ahead of them is a sea of spikes because, you know, you got to have a floor studded with spikes. What the characters don't know is that placing weight on the leading edge of this quarter, the innocent looking portion, causes the entire floor section to pivot 180 degrees, essentially just spinning right around, which drops the character into a space below. Waiting below for the character is not a pit because, you know, that would be boring.
So passe.
Yeah, a little, like you said, a little passe. So instead, we placed a trampoline there, and the character will drop down from a good height, hit the trampoline, and rapidly bounce back upwards. Now, of course, that spinning section of floor has now spun 180 degrees. So now the spikes that the characters saw at the end of the corridor are now waiting above them. So as the characters fly up, boom, they make a nice sharp landing. And then, of course, the impact of the character is going to cause that floor section to move again. So it will continue another 180 degrees back to its original position, displaying the ruined character as a grim warning for, you know, their friends. So a trap and a trophy.
And fun.
And fun. I mean, what's the use of a trap if people can't admire your handiwork afterward? I mean, I'm sure you would agree with that. So
I do, yeah, totally. All right. Those all sound amazing. I'd say, which one of those is my favorite? Which one is your favorite out of those three?
Oh,
I mean, they all got spikes, but I don't know. I might go with the trampoline one.
Yeah, I'm leaning toward the trampoline myself.
Trampoline, it's kooky. I like the kooky.
That's right.
Whimsical. You got to keep it whimsical and deadly. Perfect combination right there.
That's right. You've got the two T's in there, trap and trampoline. You can't go wrong there.
Excellent. Wonderful. Rick, I think we got a little more time to talk about one more thing. Did you have anything special else you'd like to tell us?
Sure. Let's see. I'll try to come up with one that's not a pressure plate.
Okay, all right.
All right, we've got a little gem, something more creature related, called the Rig Mummy Trap, because, you know, as I'm sure you agree, the only thing more fun than a barrel of, you know, rot grubs is a barrel of gunpowder.
Oh,
so
okay.
we have a situation where a mummy confronts the players, but unbeknownst to the players, the mummy has a powder keg hidden within their torso. So if the players think about, you know, lighting up that mummy with a few torches, well, you know, things might end with a bang unexpectedly.
Wow. I never thought about putting a powder keg in a mummy before.
There you go. It's simple, it's clean, but very effective. So
yeah. Blow, and all the bones would be like shrapnel too.
This is true. I never thought about that. Maybe we should add shrapnel damage.
Shrapnel damage. You don't make that reflex save.
See, this is why I need to speak to the master. You're giving me inspiration already.
It's like little seasonings you put on top of it, you know, to make it
tastier. This is true. That's like the bone shrapnel. It's like the salt on the steak. You need a little bit of spice to season up the proceedings.
Making me hungry just thinking about it.
Oh, I like it. Dead Adventurers always warms my appetite.
All right, Rick. Well, thanks for joining us this evening. Talk about traps and everything. I hope everything goes well when you check your mail for that check I sent you.
Oh.
We'll speak again in the future. No, we won't. Okay. Well, I think it's time for a commercial break, and I want you to check out what I'm talking about, which is obviously this backer kit campaign that's starting soon. So we'll be right back. Oh yeah, baby, I'm back. Grimtooth the Troll here to let you know they got a brand new book coming to town. That's right, Grimtooth, old school traps. Not just for anybody. Oh no, if you put these in your game, they're gonna get killed. Oh yeah, we got 150 new traps statted up and ready to go. All you gotta do is insert them right into that dungeon of yours. Oh yeah. Listen here, we got traps that slice and dice, mince and mash and smash and pass. Oh yeah, we got them all, baby, and everything's gonna be blood smeared. We gotta have to get a mop up in here. We got so many traps! Now, I don't want you to miss out on this, That's why I made it easy. All you gotta do is scan this code right here or hit the link. It'll take you right to the Backer Kit page where the campaign's gonna be. Oh yeah! And you can be there day one. Get you a special treat. Maybe, I don't know. Nobody tells me. Let me tell you something. This guy right here, he didn't back the book, and now look at him. Oh, he ain't got no skin. He's just a skull. That's gonna be you. You don't back this book. We're back, baby. And I got another guest for ya. This guy, you might have seen him on our Twitch channel here doing some session prep. He's also done some work for the upcoming Dungeon Denizens. Let's bring on Ben Haywood.
Hello, all. Hello. It's good to be here.
What's up,
Good to finally
Ben?
meet you, Grimtooth. I've read so much of your work.
Oh, thank you. You know, it spans, I don't know, about, 8 centuries or so. So, yeah, I can understand.
You've amassed quite a collection of traps, and you're finally sharing some of them with us on the 5e side to convert them and prepare them for battle and the 5th edition tables around the world here.
That's right. I I felt like the 5e players are getting a little soft, They're a little squishy. They're trying to do all this nice stuff like go to prom and all this other weird things. That's not what it's about, man. It's about traps and killing you. That's what it's about.
Well,
And,
I got to be honest with you. One of your, I think Scott said it. Scott said it best when you were interviewing him. When we convert in this conversion, we were converting to 5e, so that meant instant deaths are few and far between. It's more like a set to 0 hit points kind of thing. We got to be fair to the players. We've all been in one of those arguments where someone leaves in a huff because their character was instantly slain when they weren't expecting it. And 5th edition kind of has the kid gloves on and gives you those 3 death saving throws. But old school fans will be happy to know that we kept in the sudden death and the real likelihood of demise in the most highly rated 5 skull traps, for even some 4 skulls, but for predominantly, it's not all breaking bones and blood. There is often a last ditch saving throw to escape the trap in 5th edition.
well, I'll let them have it, I guess. But let me tell you this: on the 5 skull ones, do we have like a disadvantage on those death saves at least?
Oh, the 5 skull ones are some of the best. I'll get to one when I describe it a little bit later on. But when you mark something as 5 skull, we knew to treat it as the deadliest as possible, and often it made sense for why it would be so devastating. Like for example, there are some things without a saving throw because the party should know not to engage with that element of the trap, and it's written there, if you're that deep in the room when it crushes, there's no way to get out the door, kind of thing.
Yep. But unless you got some magic on you, maybe, I don't know.
Yeah, that was something we had to. Yeah, sorry, go ahead.
No, you go ahead.
Yeah, I was gonna say that was something we had to grapple with in the 5th edition conversion. Is when does initiative get rolled? It was traps would just kind of spring on you and you'd be struck by them. But a lot of them, there's a lot of give or take. How do you respond? How do you act? And so that means let's call for initiative, put it in turn order. High dexterity characters, they should respond first. But in that conversion, we had to say, well, if this room is going to crush you, let's have initiative, and it's not going to squish players until initiative 10. And that's kind of their only saving throw. Can you beat initiative 10 and get out the room? Can you rescue someone else if you rolled high enough? Quite a tense moment. But other times we've said, no, you know what? First, it's going to flatten you once. It springs back, then you roll initiative. Can you get out of there before the second squishing?
Nice. Now, do some traps get their own initiative roll, as in the DM would roll for that initiative, or is it a set number? it's gonna go off on, no matter what.
It's gone both ways. When Chris Doyle, lead designer of this project in the 5th edition side of things, when he went through, he demarcated some traps as these are likely going to be complex traps. And the way we saw it is the complex traps are like encounter traps. They are a whole series of things are going to happen. Those are the ones that initiatives most commonly rolled is a complex trap. And we might state there, the spikes are going to fire on initiative 20, the room is going to crush on you on initiative 0, and in between that you've got your chance to roll and respond. Only the fastest characters are going to beat the first spike firing, for example. But other times there's a mobile creature or something, and then we might say they roll with a +3. Some DMs will pre-roll their initiative. DM can choose, but yeah, traps we tended to have a consistent. They're going to launch on initiative 15. They're going to launch on initiative 4, etc. But when there's an intelligent being or something like that, that's when we'd have an initiative roll. That's not common in the collection of traps you amassed, but there are a few like in editing I can talk about some of the traps I converted as well, but in editing the whole collection, one of my favorite ones that I came across, and this is an example of the initiative, was converted by Mihailo, which is the various killers of the paranoids, which is several traps that essentially there's a chest. And if you open the chest, if you're the one opening it right beside it, you're actually in the safe zone. It's the traps somehow have a way of triggering and striking all around it. And one of them, the room comes together, squishes next to the trap, to the treasure chest, doesn't squish on the treasure chest, crushes the whole hallway, and at the same time releases 2 monsters out of that hallway. So if you're in the hallway, if you're next to the treasure chest, you're fine. If you're in the hallway, you're squished. And if you stayed all the way back in the next room, then you have 2 monsters to deal with without your friends who were squished or trapped with the chest. And
wow.
Yeah, I mean, that's a real gem.
That's a good one. All right, well, let's talk about some of the ones that you converted.
Yeah, I'll get to if we have time, or I'll save for the end. I'll get to one of the 5 skull ones and why.
Let's save that one for the end.
Yeah, but I'll start with a fairly deadly but simple one, a 4 skull called Hop, Skip, and a Jump, which is essentially when the party arrives, they can see this pit of vile slime, and Grimtooth, your trap description left it up to us to decide what's in that pit of vile slime, which made it easy to have a variant, that's not a 4 skull trap. We could have a much weaker slime. Sure, but I love this. Yeah, I love this type of trap because when the danger's out in the open, when the party can see how horrible this, I made it in my conversion, necrotic goo, how horrible this black bubbling tar of the supernatural world is, then you can make that as deadly as possible, because the party sees the threat right away. You're not just going to dump it on them when they accidentally step on the corridor. You should be a bit more forgiving if you're just going to spring it on them. But if they can see it in front of them, we can make that as one of the deadliest threats in the book, for example. In this instance, the necrotic goo, if they tumble into it, strikes for a whack of damage, restrains them in the goop, and if they can't escape at the end of their first turn, they start having automatic failed death saving throws from it draining their life. But wow. But how is this a trap? Our viewers may ask, when you just have and I should say it's an open pit, there is no false floor. Well, on the opposite side of this 10-foot pit, easily jumpable by anyone with a 10 or higher strength. Of course, there are many characters who dump strength and could not jump it. But on the opposite side of that pit is an invisible wall of force. So it just tempts your party. Oh, and this is what's great about the Grimtooth traps, how devious they are, how they don't necessarily trap you on what you think, they trap you on the first response you take. So you see a pit of goo 10 feet across, I'll jump across it, you run smack into a visible wall of force, fall, slide Looney Tunes style back into the goo. There's no saving throw on this one. If you strike that wall, there's no ability to wall kick back, and that doesn't exist in the game. You will just fall into that pit of goo. And of course, the perception DC is absurd. It's like, I forget the conversion, but this is a tier 3 4 skull trap. So think if you can make perception DC 19, you notice it's oddly silent on the other side of the trap, and that's your only tip that there's a wall of force there.
Nice.
So, yeah, simple but deadly. One of my favorites there.
Yeah, I mean, you may not know this, but I have a psychology degree and a sociology degree. So when I was making my traps, it was all about flight or fight instinct, and people's first responses. So that's that's why these carry out so well.
I love how you've outthought the party, and a lot of times it's a lot of the traps, they're not just trapped on the first thing that the party will do, they're also trapped on your first response. like um I guess that no, I can't think of a clean example of that, I like, though I like how you also created traps that have multiple ways that the party could interact with them. Which brings me to the second trap I wanted to talk about, which is
Let's hear it.
Napon Rocks. The Napon Rocks is a really kind of we put it at tier 2 because of you put two skulls, and we thought, okay, two skull trap called Napon Rocks. Essentially, it's a fungal growth that develops a oily sac, and they appear in the dungeon solo or in clumps, and they ignite on flames. So if the party is not carrying torches, you could walk right under it and no one would notice. But we thought a single one of these, might just be a little tier 1 little burst of flame. But the devious part about them, and the reason why there's multiple uses for dungeon masters and for players, is that when they detonate, we put into or in your description, you said that they can ignite other ones nearby. So they have an explosion of flame in a 5-foot radius. And so the dungeon master can choose as many as in this chain of 5-foot radius. And we put a little random, there's 2d6 of them if you want to roll randomly and see how lucky your party is. And so just one of them might have been that tier 1 threat. But we thought, okay, well, no one's just going to put one of these. Let's do a couple. Let's set up the trap scenario with a few of these. And that's a real like level 5, 6, 7 kind of scenario where they just will detonate in an explosion, this dumping hot like a fungal like kerosene that grows in them. And then in adjusting the threat, we put a
Sounds
little
like a barbecue to me.
Yeah, barbecued delvers. Yeah, and then in adjusting the threat, we put a little sidebar that the party can harvest these, and we put a survival DC so you can collect them without bursting them, and you could throw them at other dungeon denizens when you encounter them, or and then we put adjusting the threat is a more complex encounter. I'll put a creature there that's only resistant to fire, not immune to it, and so it knows to explode the napalm rocks on the party. But if the party's already encountered these napalm rocks, they can spot them on the ceiling first and detonate them and bring them down on the opponent. And of course, it'll be a little bit of fire damage to your enemy, but the real key will be not getting struck by it yourself.
Right. I like that. Gets a little for the more ingenuity thinking sort of players to watch the surroundings, but also to like that you can gather them up and plant your own somewhere maybe.
Yeah, absolutely. I know the players that I DM for my parties, they absolutely love to collect strange things from the dungeon and find uses for it as they go along. So yeah, it's perfect.
Excellent. Let's see, we got what's going on in the chat down here.
BBQ Delvers is back on the menu.
Nice. Yeah, tasty. Bring on that sauce. All right.
Kerosene sauce. Only a troll would delight in that kind of hot sauce.
You know what? I like it spicy. Some like it mild, not me. Bring up the spice. All right. Let's see here. We got let's hear this 5 skull trap. I wish we had like a little going on here. We gotta get that going, Grimtooth.
Yeah, we need the DJ to hit that.
Right.
Yeah.
Some skulls, some like lights flashing. We'll jam this up. We still got a couple shows left before the backer kit campaign starts.
Yeah, so the five skull trap. There's only a couple of them in the book that you marked in that hardest and most deadly of category. And I can say that one of them, which I'll just tease, is actually a tier 1 trap, like for levels 1 to 4. It's converted by Alex. I don't know if you'll get to talk to him. So that was a 5 skull trap that somehow we thought, you know what, this can be a 5 skull super deadly, but just for the lowest level characters, but not so for the trap that I'm going to talk about here, which is in case of fire, which this is one of the I think there are only 2 tier 4 traps. This is for level 17 to 20. And we knew we needed a couple of these in the book, but sometimes they're fun to read, but they're not going to see the table a lot. So we didn't want to make every 5 skull trap into the highest level content. But this one, it involves the deadly Kraken. So we thought for sure this needed to be a tier 4 trap when we converted this 5 skull one. So in case of fire, I'll set it up for you. There's a hallway of of horrible kind of fumes that assaults the eyes, and this will lead to a poison condition for those who are not stout of fortitude, or I should say Constitution saving throws. But and I really appreciate the kind of whole 80s 90s aesthetic in Grimtooth, because it's not simply fumes. There's this real element where everything that triggers or happens is based on some concept in science or pop culture or something. Like there's there's a deadly carbon monoxide trap, for example. It's like it's all the traps are taking something to the logical conclusion and seeing how deadly they are. And in this case, it's specifically kerosene fumes that only characters that can make an intelligence check might notice that the rocks are so flammable, which are coal, by the way, as well. But
Right.
yeah, we put a little intelligence, like if you think a DC intelligence, DC 13 intelligence check there to realize you're walking on kerosene soaked coal, because the dungeon master can
If you have
start.
the right occupational background,
Yeah.
you might figure it out sooner.
Yeah, the dungeon master could start by describing, oh, there's crunchy rocks and a foul smell, kind of thing, and then it's on the if the party walks out onto that without checking anything, it's on them. So written on the wall is, in case of fire, break glass, and that's described in the trap. And then that's the stone wall on the right. The wall on the left is a murky liquid water filled glass, and there's little fishies swimming around. It's pretty clearly water. Um, and the trap suddenly triggers when an orc leaps out and hurdles a lantern onto the kerosene-soaked coal. And any characters who beat the orc in initiative can try and shoot him from across the hallway. But of course, we wrote in there that if the orc is shot down before he can throw the kerosene, instead of lighting the kerosene on his initiative, the lantern will roll and the coal will light on initiative 10 instead. So it'll just light later on in the round. There's no
Gotcha.
truly escaping it. In the style of Grimtooth, we included that.
Excellent.
Yeah, so the smartest thing the party could do would be to not break the glass and try and smother the flames with that. But the kerosene soaked coal is going to burn. It's going to burn on the players. The fumes are going to be horrendous. And so who can resist, following that sign, and in case of fire, breaking glass? But if they do, and this is the Grimtooth style, there's a double whammy. Not the kerosene fuels will be extinguished immediately, but in the time, because there's so much water rushing in, that'll just fill the chamber all the way up. But in the time that it sloshes through the hallway, the first blast of water is said to boil immediately, and we have a dexterity, or I think a strength saving throw, to not be knocked prone by the water. And if you're knocked prone into the water, you fall into the insta boiling water, which is a bunch more damage
Oh,
before the water finally puts it out and ends the effect there. But wait, in Grimtooth style, there's more. The reason why this needed to be a level 17, 18, 19 style trap is because the deadly kraken slumbers on the other side of this glass. There was a hint in there that party members who waited long enough might have seen a tentacle slither by the glass, but it was specifically that you needed to wait a couple of minutes. Those who do not wait and trigger the trap then have to face the legendary kraken. Of course, there's after poison from kerosene fumes, explosion of flame, boiling water, knocked down by water, we realized that the kraken was sort of a little bit of a too high CR. So we made it instead just a little denote there. We called it a dreaming kraken. It's sleep fighting. It's attacking. It's trying to eat a meal in its sleep, and
gotcha.
we just, it says it has no legendary actions while it is asleep. However, if the party does, the party ought to flee. I mean, there's no reason to fight a kraken in a dungeon when you can just slip out the opposite door. But if the party reduces it to half health, then we wrote in there, it wakes up. It can use its legendary actions for a whole round before it will decide to flee. So we kind of put another tier in there that daring parties that think they ought to take on the kraken will have a comfortable time of it at first, until the final round where they or it will meet their demise, when it uses all of its like legendary tentacle fling swallow actions all in one round.
Yeah, that one sounds crazy. So we had barbecue in the last one. This time we got like boiling. We got paladins boiling in their suits like lobster. We got some Delver seafood going on,
Yeah, that's right.
and you could put anything in there. You wouldn't have to be a kraken. It could be Cthulhu spawn or something like that. let your imagination go wild when you're looking through these books.
Yeah, you called it. It was kind of easy to bring this one down with the variant. So I don't know how much you've covered this, but all of the traps we put a little variant there to put them at a different difficulty level, come up with something a little bit ingenious, a little bit extra, and oftentimes the Grimtooth, your text there will hint at how the trap could be changed. So we just had that little extra conversion, and in this case, we make the fire already lit, so the party needs to, for a much lower level, I think it just brings it down to a tier 1 trap. The fire is already lit. Party needs to cross a lit kerosene coals, and it says in case of fire, break glass. If they break the glass, you get a little bit of the boiling, and instead we're going to have some large octopuses flow into the room. Much more comfortable, but very deadly if you're the appropriate level type of encounter.
Yep. Awesome. Well, those all sound excellent. And I can't wait to read these conversions myself and share them with the world.
Get the Grimtooth stamp of approval. Yeah,
that's gonna be coming out soon. Sometime at the I don't know, maybe at the end of this month we'll be launching.
I'm already signed up for the backer kit so I'll get the notification when it goes live.
There you go, and that's what you got to do. I know we got a link up in the chat where you can go to the backer kit page, and you'll be notified on launch day. And if you sign up now, we got a free trap for everybody, and probably some other goodies on day 1. Who knows what's happening? All right, Ben, thanks for coming down.
Thank you for having me, Grimtooth.
Don't watch out for those false floors and coals and all the other things that might be in your hallways tonight.
Thank you. Always roll perception.
That's right. All right, kiddos. It's been a pleasure talking to you, and it's another Trap Thursday in the books, and I can't wait to see you next week, because we got some more guests and we got more traps, and you know what it's going to be like. Oh, yeah. See you next time.